we go. Get ready to have a good time. This is exciting, isn't it?
All right, we're on. Hello, testing.
Welcome aboard the Dreamliner.
It's the only way to fly.
Listen, we need something that will play to your strengths of loving the sound of your own voice and talking forever. Podcasts.
Gary.
Here's a young speaker who is really in demand.
Don't let that go to your head, Gary.
But wait, there's more.
See, I'm the guy.
He's Gary Meier.
Hello, everyone. This is Garrforce listener Ryan from Wisconsin. Today is Friday, March 19th, 2021. It is currently 5 p.m. here in Wisconsin, which is in the Central Time Zone. You know what really bothers me is people talk about shows starting in the Eastern Time Zone. Gary, why do you let Alan start the show that way? He's in Florida. Who cares? Most of your listeners for the Garrforce are based in Chicago, so we should be starting it in the Central Time Zone. Oh, excuse me, I'm getting a phone call. Hello? Yes, I'm taping for the Gary Meier podcast. Oh, we should be talking about the show starting in the Eastern Time Zone if I want to be on it. Got it. Oh, okay, I can do that. The Garrforce went wheels up. 6 p.m. Eastern Daylight Saving Time, 5 Central, 4 Mountain, 3 Pacific, 2 in Alaska, and noon in Hawaii. They do not observe Daylight Saving Time. Back to you in the studio, Alan, in the Eastern Time Zone.
Thanks, Ryan. From here in the East, next door to the most magical place on Earth, to your dairy state in the Midwest, or no matter where you are, it's time for a digital mimosa.
Cocktails, woo, drinks.
You can replay this and all of our shows whenever you like. Subscribe to the Garrforce Live YouTube channel for the best way to stream along during the live cocktail hour or to replay it whenever you need it. Comments are welcome during our live shows on any of our streaming platforms, and you can also text us at 773-888-2157. Regular charges may apply. Now, fasten your seatbelts. It's time to go wheels up on the Garrforce Live.
Hey, thank you, Alan Delinka. Appreciate it. We got to do something here right out of the chute. We've got to kick the tires. We've got to light the fires to get wheels up on the Garrforce Cocktail and Yappetizer show. Alan, let's do that. Let's put that up on the screen. Make this thing official. There it is. We're official now. Thank you. All right. Lot to do here on the program. My special guest today is Kenny Aronoff, world-class drummer, and we are going to have a nice conversation with Kenny in just a few minutes. Let me acknowledge the fine sponsors of the program. We've got Bettenhausen Automotive in Tinley Park and Orland Park, Illinois. We've got Builder Supply Outlet in Broadview, Illinois. Yeah, there, look at that fine stuff at the warehouse that Tom Janke has. I've got my good friend Team Hochberg, your mortgage and refi expert, and the 3-Air portable air purifier. All good stuff to support on the Garrforce. Let me acknowledge some of the people who have checked in already. You got Keeliad, you got Ryan. Ryan, I didn't know Ryan was going to be on the beginning of the show there. I'm going to talk about Ryan in just a second because he sent me something that became I think it's the most acknowledged posting I've ever had on Facebook, and we'll talk about that in a minute. Anthony, Deb, and Leonard, Doug at 847, David, John, Martin. Brian says this is our spring break, our COVID spring break. I'll do that. Can't go anywhere. I'll drink. That's my spring break. I hope it is yours too. Lloyd, Donna, Sandra Lee, Amy, and Russell, amongst others. Johnny from Michigan, Stephen, all checking in. Glad to have you on the show. Okay, Ryan from Wisconsin there. He sent me something that I posted, and it just blew up. Alan, let's put the post on that got a lot of attention a couple days ago, and it's in regards to the Grammy show last Sunday. If you watched that, you saw some soft porn on CBS. I told CBS not to cancel God Friended Me last year. They did anyway, and now It's been all kinds of bad karma for CBS. You do not cancel a show that has God in the title when you're entering a pandemic. So this is the Post where Pepe Le Pew was canceled because he was a predator. It's a cartoon. And then on CBS, you've got Cardi B and the Stallion scissoring. And that's what that was all about. And people really liked reposting that. And that came from Ryan. Ryan sends me a lot of stuff. I appreciate it, Ryan, and glad to have you on the beginning of the show in the Central Time Zone. All right. Let me bring on my guest. He is the renowned drummer that you have heard. If you've been listening to any kind of music in the last 40 plus years, he's probably been the drummer. Leslie. Oh, Leslie, welcome.
I am not a drummer.
Oh, yes, you are not a drummer, but I want to bring you on first and say hello and then tell us what you're drinking.
Because we're very excited. I mean, let's already, based on the pre-show, the pre-boarding, oh my God, this is going to be fun. Kenny has a story or 1,000 to tell us today.
Oh, yes, he does. What are you drinking?
Okay, you know me and my bottle art. Is this not the prettiest bottle you've seen in a long time? Look, and even the back label is so cool.
That's how you buy your wine, by the label.
Damn straight. And this is a Lapis Luna out of Lodi, California. It's delish besides.
Lapis
so that helps.
Nice. Very exotic. Very nice. And we're going to talk. You have some stories. We got a lot to get to with you, and we're going to do a lot of that in a few minutes too. And let's bring on Kenny. Let's talk to Kenny. Hey, Kenny. Welcome.
How you doing? I'm not drinking, but there's my glass. The Skull.
Cool.
Wow.
It's empty right now, folks, because I got a lot of work to do, but I can't wait to fill it up later.
Okay. The reason, and I invited Kenny on the cocktail show, and I said, Kenny, if you want to have a drink during the show, that's fine. He said, I've got to record my book on tape. He has a book that has been out for about 4 years now, and now you're doing the audio portion of the book, and you don't want to be stumbling through that because you got an engineer coming in, and time is money, so you're going to postpone the drinking, which is fine. And the name of that book is?
It's called Sex, Drums, Rock and Roll, the hardest hitting man in showbiz. Actually, it's under my computer, so I can give you a quick little. Kind of looks like me, right?
Kind of. Well, because it is you, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Yes, I hope so. I hope it looks like you. Okay, I could drop a needle on any part of your career, and it would be a bingo. And the wall in back of you confirms the history you've had and the success you've had. It's just mind-blowing. I like to start, Kenny, with how you got inspired to play the drums. I want to start right there, and we'll go from that moment, that flashpoint moment where whatever happened, you said, oh, I got to do that. What was that moment?
I was playing outside, and there was nothing to watch on TV back then. This was like, I think, 1705. That's how old I am. Anyway, so me and my brother were playing, and my mom yells at us. We're in Western Mass, and we grew up in a big, huge old dairy farmhouse, beautiful town, Stockbridge. And anyway, we're outside playing. My mom yells at us, like screaming at us. And I'm like, oh, shit, I'm in trouble. What have I done? But anyway, long story short, we go running in the house, and she's pointing to this black and white RCA TV set with the rabbit ears, to get the better reception. And there's 4 guys on the TV, and they got suits and ties, and they got long hair, which I'd never seen. They got electric guitars, bass, and drums. And all of a sudden they break into this rock and roll music, which I'd never seen. I heard it, but I never seen it. And I'm like, whoa, what is that? And I was like freaking out because I was drawn to it. It was like the light went off. I was electrified. I was energized. I don't know who they are. I don't know where they're from, but I want to do that. So I said, Mom, who are those guys? She said, they're the Beatles. It was the Ed Sullivan Show. I said, well, Mom, I want to play in the Beatles. Call them up. Get me in the band. I want to play drums. Forget the goddamn piano lessons. I'm playing drums now. I want to do what that. And, Ringo was up real high. And he's just so cool. So anyway, that was my lightning bolt. And my mom didn't call the Beatles up, of course. Even if she had the numbers, she wouldn't have. So I was really bummed out because I didn't know what to do. There was no mentor. There was no rule book. Rock and roll was new. So I started my own band. I borrowed money from my parents. They actually went to New York and got me a snare drum and a cymbal. Started my own band called the Alley Cats. We played Beatles music. And, all the way through high school and grade school, and I played in bands. So let's fast forward 50 years later. 50 years later, I've got a massive career as a session drummer and as a member of the John Mellencamp band, then went on to do Bob Seger's Smashing Pumpkins, Joe Cocker for 10 years, Melissa Etheridge. I could go on and on. But I get a call to do a CBS special called The Night That Changed America, honoring the Beatles for that Ed Sullivan show. So now I'm playing with Paul McCartney and Ringo Starr 50 years later, along with guys like Joe Walsh, Brad Paisley, Dave Grohl from Foo Fighters, Jeff Lynne from ELO, and on and on. And I mean, this is like a fantasy. This is like dreams come true. And the cool part was when I'm very, very focused on these shows. I mean, I write every single note out. I get the script of the show. I talk to the producer. I talk to the stage manager. I talk to the MD. I have to know every move I make. It's just not about playing drums anymore. It's about controlling the flow of the show. And if you fuck up, you have just messed up the whole show. So I do this all the time. Done the Kennedy Center honors 7 times.
I got a lot of stuff that's going to get into all those areas you just mentioned. Let me start with, you are now 50 years later. Okay, how old were you, first of all, when you saw that Ed Sullivan show in 64?
10 years old.
10 years old. Okay, so you see that. I got to play the drums. You make that path happen. And then you say 50 years later, you're playing drums with Paul and Ringo. Is that a moment, and I'm sure you've had many, where you go, is this real? Am I having an out-of-body experience? I am now on stage with these guys that I watched 50 years before and inspired me to do this, and they're Ringo and Paul. Is that a moment where you have a hard time going, oh my God, worlds collide, it's crazy?
Oh, absolutely. But I also am like a Navy SEAL in that I go, okay, this is amazing. I'm flipping out. And I told myself, flip out when the show's over. Focus on doing a great job so you're not freaking out when the show's over that you blew it because you were thinking like, oh my God. So I both things were going on at the same time. But there's no question. I was inside, just could not believe that this was happening, and was grateful and appreciated every second of it that it was happening.
Was the ignition with John Mellencamp, that's where it started to really crystallize for you?
Yes, that was my first big break in rock and roll. Yeah.
And how did you get that job?
Well, when I graduated, I got this very deeply involved training in classical music. 5 years of college, 1 year at the Aspen School of Music run by Juilliard, and you had to audition. And after 4 consecutive years of auditioning, I got into the #1 student orchestra in the country run by the Boston Symphony Orchestra called at Tanglewood. And then I get into the Jerusalem Symphony Orchestra. So I had achieved a goal in music that there was no avenue to make it in rock and roll in my little town of Stockbridge of 3,000 people. Anyway, I turned down Jerusalem. I spent 1 year studying at home, practicing 8 hours a day, 7 days a week, teachers in Boston and New York. I moved back to Indiana, spent 3 years trying to make it in a band. The business model for people listening is you write music, you get a record deal, hopefully your songs get played on the radio, and then you go on tour. People like you, and then you do it again. We didn't get a record deal. We failed. I was about to move to New York. I'm 27 years old, and somebody told me about this new guy who had just fired his drummer the night before, but he's on MTV, he's on the radio, had a couple records out, and that guy was Johnny Cougar, which eventually, that was a given name by David Bowie's manager when he had a deal with him, when he was managing him. Eventually, Johnny Cougar reclaimed his own name, which is John Mellencamp. So anyway, that was my big break. I was in this restaurant with this girl. She told me about this, and I went right outside to a payphone, put a quarter in, called the guitar player up, set up an audition. I won the audition, and 5 weeks later, I'm in LA making a record with John Mellencamp. But two days after making the record, I get fired.
Why?
To try to get right to the point of it, the producer, I just didn't have enough experience. The purpose of a drummer is one thing. When you're a session drummer, when you're trying to make a record, and the same with any musician does sessions. My goal, which I had no clue of, is one thing, that is to get the song on the radio to be a #1 hit single. So at that point, with all that practicing and all that focus on doing a great job, it was all about me. And I had to pivot that direction to it's all about we, which is the song, the artist, the label, radio, the producer, the band. The way I had to make a change was now I think in terms of what can I do for the song, for the band, for the artist, what can I do to contribute as a team player to get that song on the radio, on the record, then on the radio. I had none of that experience. But a very, very crucial moment happened, a life-changing moment happened was when John told me to go home back to Indiana. I went, no, I'm not going anywhere. Because, see, he was trying to, I didn't even know this was happening, but basically he was trying to steal and take away what was my purpose, my North Star, which is what I experienced and felt when I saw the Beatles on TV. And that's why I turned down the Jerusalem Orchestra, because I wanted to be my truth, my passion, my bliss, whatever you want to call it, is to play rock and roll. So when John told me to go home, I wasn't going to do it. I finally said, well, I'll sleep on the couch. You don't have to pay me, but I'm not going home. Had I gone home, I probably would have been thrown out of the band. But because I stayed there, I thought, all right, what can I learn here to become this guy I want to be? And that was huge. I took notes, talked to the drummers that were playing my parts, went home and completely came up with a new business model, which was how to serve an artist, how to serve John Mellencamp. How can I be the best John Mellencamp drummer in the world? That was the beginning of my success.
And you must have switched things around because you played on 10 Mellencamp albums?
Yeah. 9 or 10, I can't remember. But there's all kinds of not box sets, but greatest hits and this and that. Yeah.
The number I saw was 10. One of my favorite Mellencamp songs is Cherry Bomb.
Oh, that's a cool one. It's very cool.
I love that song.
Yeah.
And when you're touring with John Mellencamp, what are the Mellencamp songs on stage? When you go into those, you go, I really can't wait to play this song. What gets you going, Kenny?
Well, a lot of them, Gary, because I wasn't a sideman. I recorded those songs.
Right.
I came up with the drum parts. John would play a song on acoustic guitar and then go, what do you got, Kenny? Because that's what happened when I came up with that Jack and Diane big drum fill. That's one of the most, air drummed fills in the history of pop radio, along with In the Air Tonight, with Phil Collins. And once I came up with that part, and that song, Jack and Diane, wasn't even on the album. It wasn't even going to make it. It made it on the album and then became a #1 hit. I made John, the corporation, Mellencamp, millions of dollars. So why wouldn't he ask me do that again? So I came up with these parts. So those songs meant so much to me. Like, let's see. Let me start from, Hurts So Good. And Jack and Diane from the American Fool record, which won 2 Grammys. And then the next album, which had Crumbling Down, the Authority song, and one of my favorite all-time songs of John's, Pink Houses, Ain't That America for You and Me. Unbelievable song. It's such a classic. Then the next album was Scarecrow, which had Scarecrow and had... let's see what else was on that was huge. Spacing out. So many hits. Had Rumble Seed, Scarecrow. There's so many. What was the first? Oh, it had Paper and Fire on it, I think. Yeah, Paper and Fire, which is one of the greatest. That's one of my favorites when I play. Paper and Fire. It had. And then Jubilee came next, which had Cherry Bomb. Check It Out. And I know I'm leaving out some. And then the next album was Whenever We Wanted, which was started with me, this big drum thing. And it just goes on. And just so many hits, so many.
Let me ask you this, Kenny. When a song is being put together, John comes in and he says to you, this is what the song sounds like. And you put your drum around that, or does he suggest things, or is it a collaboration altogether? How does that work?
Well, it is a collaboration, but let me put it this way. John walked into John used to he started to take over a lot of the business, on the phone with the radio people, on the phone with the record people, on the phone with his manager, on the phone with the lawyers. He just constantly really took control of his career, yelling and screaming at everybody pretty much all the time. But he walked into our practice room and said, and by the way, at that point, our practice room was a dog kennel that was built inside. He lived on a ravine. It was built into the ravine, and I mean the ceiling was maybe 8 feet tall. I could barely get my drums in there. Anyway, it was a dog kennel, and he comes in and goes, "Listen, you guys, I write the same songs over and over again. I expect you guys to come up with creative and innovative parts to make these songs hits. Hits, Kenny. If somebody comes up with a better drum beat than what you're playing, you play it. And all you guys, you don't own your instruments. It's about, we all play each other's instruments. It's about hits. Get these songs on the radio." And then he walked out. And then I thought, what a jerk. But he was right, though. In theory, he was right. His delivery sucked, but he was right. He was spot on. It's about us getting parts, great drum parts, great drum sounds, great bass parts, great bass sounds, guitars, everybody coming up with things that identify these songs. As soon as you hear on the radio, oh, that's Mellencamp. Oh, that's Kenny. Whatever it took, and he was right. So what John would do is he'd play a song on acoustic guitar. I'm telling you, it could sound like a folk song, but it was my job to come up with something that would make that song recognizable. And once I come up with a beat, then everybody knows kind of what to do. So I have a 4-step program or a key or method, 4-step method on how to deal with creativity under pressure like that. One, while he's playing the song, I'd think of the obvious. Most likely he wasn't going to go for that. Two, think a little bit out of the box, embellish that a little bit. Three, to go even further, and then finally completely think out of the box. So an example, like he came and played "Crumbling Down," and it was like gung 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 gung, boom, 8th note feel. So the obvious beat would be like goo ga or boo ga boo ba or ba ba. I thought, nah, that's obvious. So eventually I came up with my bass drum going boom boom ba boom 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 ba, and I hit the snare with my fingers softly just to see if it worked. Boom boom ba boom 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 ba boom 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 ba boom chaka boom boom ba on the hi-hat. Boom. So it'd be some people are no damn good. Ba, da, da. Well, I'd never played that beat before, and that for John or anybody. John heard that and he kept playing, which meant he liked it. And so that was a way of thinking a little bit. I was embellishing. Other songs, I'd really think out of the box. I'd think, let me see, what would like Peter Gabriel do? Something that was completely different from us. And I'd grab ideas and then I'd put them in there. And John was always looking for that hook line, that thing that people would go, oh, I love that song. Yeah, that's got that thing. Just like the Smashing Pumpkins did on a song, maybe 1979. They had that. Every time you hear that song, you go, oh, that's that cool song with that.
Okay, you've led me into something else. A couple things. When you were talking about John and his instructions, it reminds me of that movie Whiplash. If you've seen this is about this band, this orchestra, this whatever the jazz orchestra, and the instructor is out of his fucking mind, and he runs Miles Teller like a dog and basically breaks him and da. And it's a fantastic movie, all obviously exaggerated to the bejesus belt. Have you seen the movie, and your thoughts on how the portrayal of this guy instructing this drummer plays in your head?
Well, I have seen the movie. The ending is not realistic, but that's Hollywood. But that kind of intensity, I definitely worked under the baton, the conductors that were that intense, throwing shit at you, yelling and screaming at you. I had teachers that were very, very strict. I walked into my first lesson at Indiana University. This is the #1 school of music. There's no hand holding there. There's no coddling there. There's no like little helicopter moms taking care of their little kids. You go there, and if you don't perform, you get thrown out. And that's what made me who I am. And I don't believe in coddling anyway. Coddling's for babies. You know what? You were a baby once, you get coddled in. You gotta, if you want to be great at something, you work your ass off. And you know what? Not everybody gets a trophy. You want a trophy? You fucking work for it. And if you lose, well, you lost. If you get a bad grade, you probably deserve it. That's where I'm coming from. And I learned that from these tough instructors. They made me who I am. I'm the guy who can run into fire. I'm the guy who will run into bullets. That's what Marines do. That's what Navy SEALs do. This coddling thing is a joke. All you're doing is hurting yourself and everybody around you. And I really feel that way. And I bring people. That's why I get hired to do these big TV specials. I did Obama's inauguration. 25 artists I'm playing with out of 27. The only 2 people I didn't play with was Springsteen and U2. They need a guy there that can take control, that can solve problems. And if something goes wrong, I don't need somebody giving me a handkerchief. I'm the guy who deals with it. I can embrace adversity. That's the guy they want on the front lines. They're not going to hire some wimpy guy who needs to be coddled. That guy can't run the ship. And I'm proud to be that guy.
All
right.
And
you know what? I'm proud. And so anyway, that I got from those guys, that type of teaching from Whiplash. He was over the top. But when you're not doing a good job and a conductor's got 90 people he's dealing with and he tells you to do something and you don't do it, you're wasting his time and everybody else's time. That's the kind of training I really feel grateful that I got. So Whiplash, yes, it was a little bit over the top, but it's not unrealistic.
I want to go to the Kennedy Center Honors Program. You have performed on a number of those. I rewatched the one where they honored Paul McCartney, and you were the drummer for all of the musical performers. Every time I've seen that program, all of the musical performances are sublime. Is it the atmosphere of the president sitting there, the people that are at the top of their game are being honored, and the audience is filled with all kinds of overachievers? Is that what elevates the musical performances? Because they're unlike anything I've ever seen. Would you agree as being the drummer that was there?
Absolutely. I've seen some of the biggest names come in there, and some of them, a lot of them I played with, like Mellencamp was there when he honored Springsteen. Melissa Etheridge was there who honored Springsteen. I toured with both of them. Steven Tyler. All these people, Dave Grohl is a good friend of mine from Foo Fighters. Everybody is like enamored because the Kennedy Center Honors is the Super Bowl. You have the President of the United States. You have all the bands that are being honored. So if we're honoring Zeppelin, Zeppelin's up there. All of them except Bonham, who's dead. When we honored The Who, oh my God, you got Roger Daltrey and Pete Townsend up there. And I think Entwistle was, and Keith Moon were dead, I believe.
Yeah, maybe they couldn't have been there for that.
Yeah. So anyway, so there's that, and then you're right. The room is filled with Hollywood dignitaries and political people, and so it's a big room. It's a badass production. You do not want to make a mistake. Now, a lot of pressure because we don't even get there till Thursday. The Friday, you rehearse Friday, Saturday, and the show's on Sunday. 16 camera shoot, recording, filming. As a drummer, you do not want to make a mistake. They can fix everything else, but they can't fix drums. So massive pressure. They don't even tell you the songs till a week before. And you're playing iconic songs like Who? Like the Who songs with Dave Grohl, Rob Thomas, and whoever else is the other 5 people. You don't want to mess up. So I walk in there. Drums, I make sure the drums are set right in the rehearsal. I go to the stage, make sure they're set there. I have a tech, but I get them right. Then I'm sitting there. I have every note written out. I've written out the parts from the album or the CD, and then I go on YouTube and study the latest version. Like when we did Honored Sting, Bruno Mars is there, but Bruno Mars is a Police medley. So I wrote down all the notes that in their arrangement, what the drummer plays to be ready. When the musical director walks in, he comes in with a whole stack of charts. You have to be able to read and write music impeccably. Otherwise, you're not there. And talk about no hand-holding. Oh, my God. Everybody there is the top of their game, the best. So we will rehearse, and all of a sudden I get the charts. I go, oh, my God, these charts are different from my charts. So I'm adapting real quick as the musical director is talking. And then he says, okay, instead of doing it at 120, Kenny, what do you got on your charts? I got 118. Let's do it at 116. Change it. I get my machine, get the tempo. We start doing it. We make all these edits and all these changes. Then we go through the other 6 songs. Then the artists come in. Lady Gaga, then Bruno Mars, then Springsteen, then Dave Grohl. And I connect with all these people first. And this is something that's very important that I learned. I call it the 3 C's. You've got to connect with the artist. You've got to communicate with the artist so that you can collaborate with the artist. And I have a rapport with all these people. And trust me, Elton John's talking to the musical director a couple of weeks before, and he goes, hey, who's in the band? And they go, well, on drums, we got Kenny Aronoff. Elton's going to go, oh, good. Because they know, I know how to.
He knew he had a Navy SEAL, Kenny.
Exactly.
You could play Yellow Brick Road and go kill Osama bin Laden if he wanted. Fucking A.
Fucking B.
A, brother. Hey, I got so much to ask you. Let's stay with the Kennedy Center Honors Program. Were you the drummer during the Zeppelin honor? Okay.
Yeah, I did. Linda Kravitz.
Okay. And Hart does Stairway to Heaven. It was mind-blowing.
I know. I was supposed to do that, but they told me, hey, Jason Bonham from
I mean, they got to have him, right?
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. So that was an amazing performance.
It was unbelievable.
Couple other things here. I saw Ringo interviewed by Stephen Colbert this week, and Ringo said everybody in the band wants to be the drummer. When they were recording at Abbey Road, he would go to the bathroom or get a cup of tea. He'd come back, and John, Paul, or George would be behind the drum kit banging away. Do you find that to be true? Everybody wants to be the drummer?
Well, I remember when I went on tour with John Fogerty for the first time. And the same thing, before I'd get out of my dressing room for sound check, the bass player would be playing drums, or Johnny Lee. Yeah, I mean, it depends what band. That's hilarious.
That's what he said. And it must be something about, and you can confirm this, it gets your aggressions out to the max. Because you're hitting, you're banging, everything's coming out.
It's deeper than that. I started thinking about that recently. When you're playing the drums, it gets your dopamine going, your serotonin, your adrenaline going, which is a stimulant inside your body. So you feel high, you feel exhilarated. So it adds to exactly what you said. It's exhilarating. It's fun. It feels good. Everything about it is joyous and joyful and exciting and fun. Yeah.
I've got some questions here from listener Rob out of New Berlin, Wisconsin. He said his favorite guitar player is Jeff Beck. I heard that Kenny has never played live with him. And is that his dream collaboration?
Hell yes. I played on the same record with him, with Blaze of Glory by Bon Jovi. But I've never, and I almost played with him at the Kennedy Center Honors, but they had another drummer play in that segment. Oh my God, Jeff Beck and I've met him and I've hung out with him. It's just in my book, I forgot about this. It was Bon Jovi who's interviewed in my book. He said that, John didn't have his band around. So who do I hang out with? I'm going to hang out with Kenny. And then apparently I forgot this, but Jeff Beck he liked movies and he liked cars. He liked to work on cars, hot rods. He didn't want to talk about music. So we went all out to the movies one night, and I mean, I probably was so like in awe of Jeff Beck, I didn't probably say too much to him. But yeah, we all went to the movies. I can't remember the movie, but Jeff Beck to me is one of the top. I mean, it was like Jimi Hendrix, Jeff Beck, Eddie Van Halen. These people changed guitar, and then now I'm playing with Joe Satriani, who's another virtuoso. But Jeff Beck is just, I would love to play with him.
All right. Here's his other question. Here's Rob's other question. The relationship a drummer has with the bass player is the most important one on stage. who is your favorite bass player to play live with? And I would imagine that would be true because I consider the drums and the bass the foundation, the spine of the band and the song. Would you agree?
I would say there's one thing that trumps the bass player with the drummer. You need to match the singer with the drummer. If you have an energetic singer or someone like Melissa Etheridge who really belts it out, you need to have a drummer that belts it out so that you give the singer the energy they need to be themselves. And in that particular case, the singer gives me the excitement to be me, to energize them. I did that with Bob Seger. I did that with Mellencamp. I did that with, and I study the singer, and I go where they go, and try to lift them and the band. But as far as the rhythm section, very important that the bass and the drums are locked in, but also the rhythm guitar. The rhythm guitar is playing what you're playing on the hi-hat and snare drum. Do do ba do 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 da da boom do da do 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 da. The same thing. The bass is usually playing with the kick drum. So all these things, that as far as the rhythm section, like the front line of an offensive line in football, NFL football, or a defensive line, that line is what holds it together. But then I'm also, quarterback and receiver with the singer. And so it's all the above. And as far as bass players, oh my God. So many. Lee Sklar, one of the greatest bass players ever. He's been recording and performing for 55 years. I've done a lot of things with him. Chris Chaney, one of the biggest session guys also in LA, plays with James Addiction. We've done sessions for a gazillion years. James Lomenzo, the bass player in the Fogerty band, I play with it. He played with David Lee Roth, and he played with Black Label Society, and he played with Megadeth. Yeah, and I mean, I could go on. Those are a few. Jürgen Carlson. Jürgen Carlson plays with what's his name? Plays with Government Mule, who's an incredible bass player. I mean, there's a lot out there.
How about drummers? Drummers you admire?
Oh, well, I mean, it started with John Bonham, Mitch Mitchell from Hendrix, but also, and Ringo and Charlie Watts. But then the jazz drummers, Buddy Rich, Louis Bellson, Elvin Jones, Philly Joe Jones, incredible, Max Roach. Okay, then in rock and roll, of course, John Bonham, Steve Gadd, Billy Cobham, Vinnie Colaiuta. I was just on a Zoom thing with a Foo Fighters drummer, Taylor Hawkins, amazing. Dave Grohl, amazing. Danny Carey from Tool was on that. Also Carter Beauford from what's Dave Matthews Band. I mean, I could go on. There's so many great drummers.
Did I read this right, that you tour with Jerry Lee Lewis?
Yes,
he's 85 years old. Talk about that for a second.
Well, I did the Grammys with Jerry Lee Lewis, Little Richard, and John Fogerty, which to me is iconic because these guys created rock and roll. I got a call to do the Jerry Lee Lewis concert a couple of years ago, no rehearsal, and I was like, "Oh my God!" You have to understand. There's not many of these guys left. They invented rock and roll. They came before the Beatles and the Stones in the 50s. And this is the story. And I just celebrated his birthday. I during COVID, I said, I am not missing this. Got a COVID test. I flew to Memphis and then drove to Mississippi. And I was in Jerry Lee Lewis's house and with his two other cousins that are 85, Jimmy Swaggart and Mickey Gilley. Those are all three cousins, 85 years old. And I played with Swaggart. I played Amazing Grace with Swaggart. Oh, my God. And he came up to me and says, "Son, I hear you're the greatest drummer in the world. God has given you some talent, and we love you for that." But Jerry is unbelievable. I mean, Jimmy and Jerry, when they were little kids, they were listening to these black musicians playing, it's wherever, the house, I don't know. And they were so blown away by what they were hearing. They went and found where this black guy lived. And he opens the door and he goes, what are you guys doing here? For many reasons. And they go, we want to know what piano chord you're playing. He says, how do you know what piano chord I'm playing? He says, well, we go listen to you over that, wherever it was. And so the guy showed him the piano chord, and they created this music that turned into rock and roll. I mean, that's incredible. And I just heard that story. So playing with Jerry, you have to be able to, he doesn't count anything off. There's no set list. He just starts playing, and then you fall in. So from a drummer standpoint, doesn't matter what the title is. All I have to do is identify the style of the song and play that style. It could be country. It could be rock. It could be rockabilly. It could be blues. It could be in 4/4. It could be in 12/8. It could be a gospel. You have to be a deep, deep musician to play all his styles of music. And his piano, his low keys are right in front of me. He's sideways. And so it's beautiful because I can just watch his hands and watch his voice, mouth, and have a monitor, of course. But playing with Jerry, to me, I mean, this is history, man. It's an honor.
Right.
Honor.
When those guys are gone, that era is completely gone. You're not going to see that again. Okay. When you're in your car, and I don't know how you receive music on the radio or you plug your own music in, and a song comes on that you've played on, do you remember the moment in the recording studio, what was going on? Does it bring back a lot of memories that you can vividly remember, or because it might have been 30, 40 years ago, they faded? But do you have that moment? Because I think of artists like yourself, you're in the studio, I think of the Beatles and Abbey Road. Do they remember years later the moment when it came together and you're in there and things are happening? Do you remember those?
Yes and no. The big ones, of course, I do remember, and there's always a story behind every song. But I mean, there was a time you have to understand, I'm on 300 million records sold.
Let me stop at that point and give you, everybody, you know this, 60 Grammy-nominated songs, 1,300 gold, platinum, or diamond recordings you're on.
Records, those records behind us, yeah.
Yeah.
And Rolling Stone named me top 100 drummers of all time. But the thing is that I remember I was recording in New York, and we get the car to go. No, we at Bearsville in Woodstock, and we're driving from New York for some reason up there, and all of a sudden a song comes on, and it's like, oh yeah, that's me. And all of a sudden another song comes on the radio, and go like, God, that sounds familiar. Who's that artist? And I went, oh my God, that's me. I played on that song. It was Amanda Marshall from Canada. Then another song came, and I went, oh my God, I'm on that one too. Then everybody in the car started hitting me. You know, that's ridiculous. 3 songs, 5 songs in a row came on. 5. And by the time I was getting just pummeled, everyone's like, you son of a bitch. You know, they were like, it was.
Aren't there any other drummers out there, Kenny?
Yeah,
You're just taking all the work from people who need the money.
Dude, I came out to LA once when I was living in Indiana, and I walked into a studio, and Carmine Appice goes, oh shit, Kenny Aronoff's in town. There goes all our work. And he says, you know what, I'm going to buy you a one-way ticket back to Indiana.
That's the second time somebody wanted you to go back to Indiana. You're not going to send Kenny back to Indiana, so stop it. Hey, listen, I could go on and on. You are going to be recording your book, your audio version of the book that's called Sex, Drums, and Rock and Roll. And you want to leave us with a little tidbit from that you'll be recording? And when will this be out, the audio version?
Well, I have to turn it in April 5th, so it'll be out this year. Oh, cool, you put it up there. It'll be out this year. There's a soft cover, there's a hard cover, there's an electronic version of it. And the thing is, it's cool. I sound just like this, you know, except maybe I try to talk a little slower. But, you know, I've got this phrase. I mean, something from the book. Oh, my God. There's so much. It's like my whole upbringing that gets me into the Mellencamp band. 17 years with the Mellencamp band. A situation where a plane almost crashed. We ran. It stopped in the sky. Another story about how 2 lesbians picked me up and wanted me to be their friend. You know, stories like that are in there. How I became this big session drummer, why that happened, how I made it happen. You know, And then it goes on to playing with the Smashing Pumpkins. Billy Corgan talks in the book. John Bon Jovi talks in the book. Melissa Etheridge does. 10 Years with Joe Cocker. John Fogerty talks in the book. I've been with him 26 years. John Mellencamp, I had to have him in the book. Into some great. It's about a person, and this could apply to anybody because we're all kids at one point. It's about being a little kid and coming from a town or a city and how you become this. And it really just comes from hard work. It's like literally I have this thing called RPS. The repetition of any skill, S, is the repetition, R, of any skill is the preparation, P, for success. So to be great, I just did a thing with Fogerty the other night. We filmed for a Grammy show I did on Wednesday. And I did a great job, but here's why. At 1 o'clock in the morning, after recording and reading my book, I practiced this song I've played for 26 years, Fortunate Son. I practiced it 8 times. Then I practiced it without music, counting it off. We rehearsing exactly what I'm going to do tomorrow. Why? Because I'm not a robot. I have to remember and refresh my memory. Next morning, I wake up 8 more times on a practice drum set in my garage. And then I practice the count off. I practice what if John counts off. So when I get there for sound check, I am so ready. And also when I sound check, this is part of preparation. Sound check, I'm playing the exact beat and the exact tempo that we're going to play that song at. So when John walked out, he went, "Wow, so good to hear you play like that, Kenny." Now me and the singer are connected. So it's the repetition of any skills of preparation for success. Once you become successful, what got you to become successful, you need to keep doing to stay successful. That's something I've never forgotten. When Jack and Diane went to #1, I was excited for 2 seconds, and then I immediately went into, holy shit, how am I going to do this again?
And also go and kill some asshole dictator in some foreign land, because that's what you do, Kenny.
Dude.
Hey, I gotta ask you if you have any indication if there are going to be any musical tours this year. And I ask that because I just read where they're canceling these music festivals all over Europe already because it's flaring up there. What are you hearing?
Okay, I heard something yesterday from a manager, and he said that Live Nation just put up Reading in England. That's a big field. I actually played there, of all people, Guns N' Roses. I just stepped on stage for a couple songs, but Reading is a big field, and he said they're selling tickets for that concert because they believe the vaccine will eradicate the virus enough and people will feel safe. So, and that will be sometime later in the summer. That's one thing. I'm booked to be on tour for 9 weeks with I don't know if I should say the artist, but the point is, he said they're going to, everything's in place to do the tour, but they're going to make that decision, everybody, all the powers involved, in June. So what's happening here, everybody, is so all the shows that were booked in 2020, all the big bands, or big, small, whatever, all they did was say, okay, we can't do it in April of 2020. Let's hold all those dates, the same dates, same venues in 2021. Now we're in 2021. If that doesn't work, they will move them to 2022. This is just overgeneralizing. And what we're waiting for, and there's a lot of moving parts, we're waiting for everybody to feel comfortable on both ends of, the audiences, the venues, the bands, the truck drivers, the crews, everything, all the moving parts. We're waiting for everybody to feel safe and feel that it's okay to mingle and be close with each other. And there's and so that's the biggest thing. But there's all kinds of different variations of this. Like an indoor venue, they might go, okay, we're going to do it, but we're only going to sell 30%. But basically what I'm saying is they're doing it a step at a time. I've heard that in the South, they're already having concerts, and there are some people, I heard Eric Gales is out there performing. So they're starting to bring it back, but everything is being observed.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you, Kenny. Appreciate your time and for being on the show.
Yep.
You will be getting a portable air purifier from 3 Air that will give you a 4-foot bubble that will kill germs when you're playing those drums, and you're going to stay safe with your air purifier. How about that?
Dude, I am the antidote. I am a vaccine. I'm a walking vaccine.
You're going to kill that fucking vaccine if anybody does.
Dude, if you're around me, you're safe.
I feel it. I feel energized.
But to be honest with you, for everybody, I didn't want to get the vaccine. I didn't. I really didn't.
How come?
Because I don't know what's in it, but I got it.
All right, there.
I'm getting the second one on Monday. And the reason why is because I'm a musician. I was going to stay at home, but I'm going to be traveling all over the place. I'm going to make a record in the end of April in Texas in a lockdown situation with all kinds of people. Somebody from the Hollywood Vampires and Alice Cooper, another guy from Guns N' Roses, another guy from Aerosmith, and we're making a record. And so we're going to get COVID tested, but that's just the beginning of me flying around. And so I decided. Yeah. I'll get the vaccine because I am going to be moving all over the place.
Exactly. Well, I hope you have a wonderful year, and I appreciate your time, Kenny.
Awesome.
I really enjoyed talking to you. Thank you.
Thanks, Gary. Thanks for having me on the show.
No problem. Kenny Aronoff, drummer extraordinaire.
See you.
Leslie. Wow. No trophy for losers.
Oh my God.
No ribbon for 6th place. No way.
But it's true. The man speaks some serious truths. Let's face it.
Really, enough of the coddling already. I mean, everybody's a winner. Everybody gets a trophy. No. We got to get back to 1st place, 2nd place, 3rd at the most.
What did we say? 10,000 hours. That's how you start getting really good at something.
And
that's when you really start getting good at something. And then you become Kenny when you do 13,000 of those sort of things.
I like what John Mellencamp said. All right, you're going back to Indiana. We didn't like that. Oh, no. I'll sleep on the couch. I'll get it right. And I'll stay and do. And then he did 10 albums with John Mellencamp. Wow. Oh,
that's how I stayed on your show.
What's that?
That's how I stayed on your show. People were like, nah, we're going to find somebody else.
Right. I think this is a quote from Kenny. A healthy life is a wealthy life. How about that?
Nice. Very nice.
You have stories that we're going to get into. And before you do that, let's pay homage to the fine sponsors of this program, starting with Bettenhausen Automotive in Tinley Park and Orland Park, Illinois. Alan.
Every journey starts here at Bettenhausen Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, Fiat, and certified Megastore in Tinley Park and Orland Park. Get a thrill out of every deal during the Jeep Celebration event. You can drive a new 2021 Jeep Cherokee for only $199 per month. Your best Jeep buying experience starts now at BettenhausenCDJR.com.
And Bettenhausen, you got Team Hochberg, mortgage, refi experts. I talked to David Hochberg today. And he said something that we both thought was kind of amusing. The rate has gone up a point, I guess, in the last week or two. It's the high 3s. And I'm thinking, high 3s? My parents paid that mortgage in the high 3s in the early 60s. How can people complain? 3 point something, still good. It's still really good. So if you're looking to buy, that's a good rate. And go to David to find out if you qualify or whatever, or need some information about refis and mortgages. The consultation is free. There's the number on the screen. David is a wonderful man. I've known him for many years. He gets things done, like Kenny Aronoff. No bullshit, gets it done. Also, another guy who gets it done, Tom Janke from Builder Supply Outlet. His warehouse in Broadview, Illinois is loaded with good stuff if you're refurbishing your house at great prices, and it's quality stuff. It's not this big box particle board crap that they try to peddle on you for cheap, but then it falls apart. That's what you want. Look at that. All those great things that you need for your house to redo it. And if you mention my name, Garry Meier, at checkout, if your order is $100 or more, you'll get $25 back in your pocket. That's good. Go buy Scratchies or buy some Powerballs or Megas. Who knows where that could go, right?
There you go. Oh my God. They do custom doors on site. It's beautiful.
Yeah, and they've got everything in stock. You don't have to wait till they order it, and then 7-8 weeks later, oh, your stuff is in. They have it right there. Take it home tonight. Okay, and I mentioned with Kenny, he's going to get one of the 3-air air purifiers. This gives you that 4-foot bubble, yeah, and kills germs and cleans the air. And if you have allergies, that's good. And allergy season is coming, as the cicadas are. And you have odors that you don't want, that kills it. Cigarette smoke kills it. And you get 30% off when you order from 3airhealth.com, the number 3airhealth.com. Go to the discount code box, put Garrforce 30 in there, and you'll get 30% off and free shipping. There it is on the screen. All right, let's talk about what you've assembled, Leslie.
A first-of-its-kind mission to start cleaning up space junk is set to launch tomorrow morning. A company named Astroscale will be testing a new technology they've designed to clear the clutter orbiting the Earth. Hang on one second. I think we may have a bit of a...
Yeah, we've got echo,
here.
Garrett. We've got echo on you, Leslie.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Little technical issues that we're
working. What does that mean, Alan? What should we do?
What?
I think Leslie's got it. Right?
All right. It's fixed.
Are we back?
Yes, you're back.
All right.
So where was I? I was talking about this space mission. Oh my God. Kenny, honest to God.
I know.
The guy
I'm
is
all
like
energized.
a force of nature.
I know.
Anyway.
Wait a minute. Before you continue, I was afraid to do most of my drink because I didn't want to screw up. So now I'm doing most of my drinking now because that's the point of the show.
Oh my God.
Wow. I was energized just listening to the guy.
So I hate to bring us down. Let's bring us back up to space.
So we've polluted space. We've polluted the oceans. Boy.
Right.
What a
so
great
there's this
civilization.
company called Astroscale, and it's going to begin testing a new technology they've designed to clear the clutter orbiting the Earth. A Soyuz 2 rocket will be taking off from a launch pad in Kazakhstan, bearing a magnetic satellite that, if everything goes as planned, will capture bits of space debris and then push it toward the Earth's atmosphere, where it's going to burn up. A series of test captures is planned through the fall. There's currently more than 9,000 tons of space debris circling the planet right now, so there's no shortage of junk that needs clearing.
Can they also invent something that will pick up garbage along the highways? I can't take that either.
Holy shit.
I know. It's
you could
everywhere.
build a car with what's on the shoulders these days.
Car. A factory of cars. It's junk everywhere.
Okay, so speaking of cars, here's a great story. Who knew that catalytic converters were such a huge black market commodity? But we've had, at least two stories so far this week. Well, here's another one, and this one is coming out of California. A man suspected of trying to steal a car's catalytic converter was killed when the car fell off a jack and crushed him. According to Anaheim police, the body of a man was found underneath a Toyota Prius at an auto repair lot at around 6:20 Wednesday morning. An employee of the lot called 911 after spotting this person's legs sticking out from underneath the car. They're not worth dying for, obviously, but catalytic converters are pretty valuable these days. Recyclers are paying around $250 a piece because of the precious metals found inside.
That's called karma. You're doing something bad. Bad things happen. You had that other story about the guy who was stealing catalytic converters, and he also stole that slide from a public park and brought it into his trailer. And I'm sure he said to his kid, "Hey, I know you've been playing with the catalytic converters I've been stealing, but here's a slide in your bedroom."
And now keep your mouth shut about what Daddy's doing as his side hustle.
So I stole you a slide, kid. Shut up.
And finally, a Florida mom and her teenage daughter are under arrest because of a stunt they pulled to get the girl elected to homecoming queen. Officials say Laura Carroll used her credentials as an assistant principal of a grammar school in Pensacola to gain access to the computer system at her daughter's high school. Once the two hacked in, they proceeded to cast hundreds of votes in the school's homecoming election back in October. Well, thanks to those more than 200 100 fraudulent votes. The daughter was obviously a shoo-in for homecoming queen, but all that tinkering was eventually spotted and traced back to mom's IP address. The daughter was expelled, and now both of them are under arrest and facing multiple charges related to the hacking.
But she got to keep her sash. Hey, nice sash. Wow.
And the $7 crown that they gave her.
Why are you bothering with this to be homecoming queen? Really? Is it that big of a deal? I know it is, kind of, but not that big.
No, it's not worth facing felony charges for.
Wow. I want to do this story before we say goodbye, because you did the main story of this woman who is a stowaway, serial stowaway, Marilyn Hartman.
Marilyn, yes.
She was just arrested, which you reported this week. But I saw this part of the story. I did not know this. Do you know that she was on a monitor, an ankle monitor?
Right.
And the monitoring device has a phone built into it. So when she wandered out of her house, they call her on the monitor. It's got a phone in there.
Oh.
Coming out of her ankle. And I thought, well, how about we expand on that? How about we put a smoke bomb in there and sparklers, so when she's walking down the terminal at any airport, you got smoke coming around her ankles and sparklers coming, and we can nab her right there. They did get her before she got on, but she keeps doing this.
Right.
She obviously should be in jail because she keeps doing it. She gets off on it, but they have a phone built into the ankle monitor.
So, like, were the sheriff's police going, Marilyn,
right.
Marilyn, turn around.
Turn around. Go home, Marilyn. And she ignored that. You got to put the smoke bomb and some kind of other fireworks in there to deter somebody
How about
like her.
like a shock collar is what she needs.
I like it. Yeah, I like it. She gets out of her car at the airport and she's writhing on the ground in front of the United terminal.
Wow.
Oh my God.
I would pay money to watch that.
I would too. All right, that's it. Thanks for listening. Have a great weekend. And it's time to take that complimentary cannoli coming down the aisle. Here it is. It's beautiful cannoli. Look at it. Look at it. Look at the cannoli. It's Okay, if the cannoli isn't your bag, what about the schnauzer? What should people do with their schnauzer?
I know I've used the term before, but in honor of Mr. Aronoff, paradiddle the schnauzer, if you will.
Okay, and fetch on all fours if you get a chance. It's 3 of the green, gears down, flaps are down. The voice of the globe, the Garrforce, talk to you on Monday, has landed.
If you like that, I got other stuff I think you're going to like. This is the Garrforce